Hello. Thank you for visiting my channel, Medical Assistant with Miss K. This video today is a highly requested video. I have gotten so many emails and comments of people asking for me to do a resume video. So I said, let me do this while I have some time. So if you don't already have a pen and paper, go ahead and get that or open up a new window so you can go along with me because I'm actually going to be doing a live demonstration of a sample resume. So definitely have something so you can follow along with me. I recorded this video earlier and realized I was not sharing my screen. So I literally did this entire video earlier today, was not sharing the right screen. So here I am doing it all over again. So bear with me. I am going to this can be a lengthy video, but I'm going to try to make it as short as I possibly can while still giving you all the information. So if you are somebody that is maybe fresh out of school and you're working on a resume, or maybe you already have a resume and you just need help with doing another one or editing it and or whatever, definitely tune into this video. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to be giving you all two different ways you can create your resume. One way is going to be using Microsoft Word or whatever word processing program you have on your computer, because I know a lot of my students, they have Apple and they don't have Microsoft Word, they have something else, and so that's fine as well. And I'm also going to be showing you the Google Docs way, the Google Drive way, which is what I personally recommend you use. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me just show you the way that we're going to go in and do the Microsoft Word way. All right, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and this time I need to make sure I'm sharing the right screen because, like I said, I did that entire video. All right, so let me go to Microsoft Word, and then you're going to go to File and New. Now, all you're going to do is you're going to search up sample resume templates. The best way to create a resume is not to do it from scratch. The best way is to make sure you are doing it from a template. Why are you going to do it from a template? Because the templates are already completed for you. See, these are all resume templates, and we're going to skip right past the templates that have a photo on it, because when you're doing a medical assistant resume, you don't need a photo. Photos are for resumes for people like models and actors or actresses or um, other professions that require the person to submit a headshot, right? So we're going to skip right past that. We don't need a lot of colors and designs. And when you're doing a professional resume, you want to keep it as simple as possible. It does not need to be fancy. You don't need any colors, just a black and white resume. So even if you do use a resume with color in it, you want to change it black. And I get my students sending me these fancy resumes, and I understand the temptation to use a nice looking resume, but trust me, you want a simple professional resume. So let me find a sample. So I'm going to click on this one here. So when you find a sample that you want to use, the template that you want to use, you simply just hit create. And all you're doing is just entering your information, right? So you're going to enter um let me go back there. You're going to enter your name here, and I'm just using Mary Smith. That's my go-to. I know there's a very common name. Sorry, Mary Smith, if there's a Mary Smith watching this, but that's my go-to um, example name that I normally use with my students. But so Mary Smith. So you're literally just writing all of the information. You're going to write your information in here, your email, phone number, and things like that. And that's all you're doing. So you're going to just, highlight that, and then you're going to put your information there, right? And then when you're using Microsoft Word or other word processing program, you go to file and save as and save it to your computer, right? And so the downside to that is that to be able to edit it on other devices, you have to email it to yourself and things like that. This is why I recommend using Google Drive. Okay. Now, if you have a Gmail account, you have a Google Drive. So I'm going to show you how to access that. And so I'm going to share my screen again. This time I'm going to share my I'm going to share my entire screen this time because I don't want to I don't want to do this video for an hour again like I did before and realize that I was sharing the wrong screen the entire time. So let me just share my entire screen here. And this time, if I mess up this time, I'm not doing this again today. So I hope this works out this time. All right. So we're going to go to the drive and let me just go to, well, okay. All right. So if you have Google, and this was the resume I did before in the last one. If you see this here, I literally, like I said, did the whole video. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right. So if you go to google.com and like I mentioned, as long as you have a Gmail account, you have this, a Google Drive. Okay. So basically, you're going to go to google.com, make sure you're signed in, right? These boxes here where it says Google Apps, you're going to click on this and then you're going to go to Drive. The thing that I love about the Drive is that you have so much space. You have 15 gigabytes of space to use. This free space. Once you go past that 15, you can purchase more. But just to give you an idea of how much space 15 gigabytes is. So for those of you who don't know, I am, in addition to being a medical assistant instructor, I am also an author. I've written 4 books and I also publish other authors. And all of my books, not on this Google Drive, but one of my other Google Drive accounts, all of my books are on there and I still had space. Okay. So just to give you an idea of how much 15 gigabytes is. Okay. It's a lot of space. So I definitely recommend you all to use this. And then, a resume is a standing document. So, that's something you're always going to be adding to every time you learn something new, every time you get a new job or go to a new school or whatever, pick up a new skill. You're going to be adding to that. This is why I recommend Google Drive, because you can pull this up anywhere you sign into your Google Drive. Okay. So the first thing you want to do, just like Microsoft Word, Google also has templates. So we want to go to template. Okay. Now the resumes are already populated here. I've searched the one earlier. So it's already here. You see the resume, you have letters, and just different templates are available in templates, right? So we're going to go to resume. We're going to click on that. And let me just go over to here real quick, make sure my screen is sharing, and it is. Okay, perfect. All right. So now let's talk about this resume. So this is Google Docs, like I mentioned. Simple resume. You want to be as simple and unfancy as possible. Even these colors here, we're going to change all of these to black. We don't need any color on our resume. You want it to just be simple. If you have a lot going on your resume, if it's fancy and, it's distracting to an employer. So you want to just be as simple as possible on a professional resume. So I'm just changing these. All right. So where are we going to start? We're going to start with writing in our name, right? So again, I'm going to use Murray Smith. Murray Smith. All right. Now, your address, phone number, and email, of course, you'll put that here. Now I'm going to use this 123 York Street. Now, one thing I will tell you is that you don't have to have your full address. I do not include my full address on my resume. I just have my city and state. It's optional. Okay. First of all, let me just say this. This information that I'm giving you today on creating this resume is I don't want you to feel like you need to be boxed in. I don't want you to feel like the information I'm giving you today is an absolute must, because I will tell you this. If you go to your career services department at your school, or if you talk to, a resume specialist or, somebody like that, they're going to give you different information. Okay. So, and it's okay. I do recommend you to look at different samples and just kind of make it your own. So take this today as a guide, but not an absolute must, right? You don't absolutely have to keep your whole address off there, right? That's just something I do and something I recommend to my students, city and state. Make sure you have a working phone number. When I was still working in the office, we had situations where we would want to call somebody in for an interview and the phone number wasn't working. So make sure you have a working phone number on your resume. Another big one, a professional email. Professional email. Please do not, If you have any of these type of emails, that's fine. That's fine with you and your friends emailing each other, or for your personal time, that's fine. But if your email is lilcutie2022@gmail.com or yahoo.com, don't put that on your resume. Sexy mama 97. No, we're not doing any of that. You want to use a combination of your name and maybe some numbers, right? Especially a name like Murray Smith, because it's common. So I'm pretty sure Murray Smith at gmail.com. I'm going to use Gmail as an example since I told you all to sign up if you haven't already. So Murray Smith, that's a common name. I'm pretty sure it's already taken. So what you want to do, you can use your first and last name with some numbers attached, right? Or maybe you can use, Murray dot Smith, or Smith dot Murray. But you want to have some type of email combination using your name, okay? And then maybe some numbers, okay? Some type of numbers that's familiar to you, or something like that, at gmail.com or Yahoo, or whatever email service you use, right? So that's that. And then, so this is your name here. Now this area right here, we can go ahead and put an objective here. Now, objectives, I recommend you all you can look online for a sample objective. I'm going to give you one now. So let's just say, and for those of you who don't know, the objective is basically you're letting the employer know what you are looking for. What are you hoping to accomplish? What is your objective? Your objective is to get a job. Excuse the noise in my background if you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear that siren in my background. If you can, please excuse me. So the objective is letting the employer know what you're looking for, okay? And please make sure your objective matches the job that you are searching for. One of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is they will give me a resume and it has nothing to do with medical assistant. It'll just simply say like professional seeking a position where they would utilize my skills. That says nothing about what you're looking for. It needs to say medical assistant. So you can say clinical medical assistant, or you can even say professional medical assistant. And this is just an example, seeking a position in a medical facility, or you may say in a hospital, seeking a position in a medical facility that will utilize and enhance, and this is like my go-to example, objective, enhance my excellent clinical and administrative skills. So you're letting them know that you're a medical assistant and you are looking for a job in a medical facility, right? And you want them to utilize your skills. You want them to enhance them as well, because you're saying you want your skills to grow. So again, this is a sample. Look up different samples and make it your own, okay? As I mentioned when I did my cover letter video, if you are bilingual, right? If you speak more than one language, you may even add, bilingual medical assistant. That was one thing that we did at the former school that I was at, where we actually, had students do resumes as assignments. That was one thing we did recommend them to do, was add that they're bilingual even in their objective, okay? Because it sets you apart, all right? And so one other thing I want to mention is that you want to, just kind of make sure you're, where you want depending on where you're applying to. So if you're applying to a hospital, you may say seeking a position in a hospital or a doctor's office or a medical office or a clinic, right? So make it your own, okay? So that's your objective. And notice I didn't put I am a medical assistant. That is one of the mistakes I see as well. So unlike the cover letter, remember for those of you who watch my cover letter video, if you remember in that one, we use complete sentences. I am, my name is. With a resume, you're not doing that. With the resume, you're just, you're listing your qualifications and skills and experience in bullet points, and you're just, not complete sentences, okay? You're just itemizing everything, okay? And you'll see what I mean as I'm going through this example, okay? So not I am, simply bilingual medical assistant and what you are seeking, or clinical medical assistant, professional medical assistant, okay? So that's the objective. And let me just say this, some of these templates that you use, they'll be different. So notice the skills and certificate. We're going to change awards to certification. So notice that's over here. Some resumes you see may have skills listed first. Some of the templates you see may have skills listed first, maybe education. So it doesn't really matter. And I'll be honest, when employers are looking at your resume, they're skimming. The main things I can tell you, the main things they're going to look at first, they're going to look at your skills and your experience. Okay. If they like those, and they'll also look at your certifications as well, look at your quality, see, make sure your certification matches what they're looking for. So you want to make sure those things are on point. You want your entire resume on point, really. But I just wanted to point out those big things that they're definitely going to look at. They're going to skim it. Okay. So we have the name, we have the contact information, objective. Now, well, let's go over to the skills. So we'll come back to experience and education, everything. Let's go over here to the skills. So skills, I'm going to take this off. So a couple different ways you can do this. You see how they're listing each item under the other. You can do it that way. But if you're a medical assistant, you're probably going to have a lot of skills. Okay. So for those of you that's fresh out of school, you're going to be listing the skills that you just learned in school, right? So we're going to say, let's say, administer. What are your skills? You know how to administer injections, vital signs. So this is just an example of things. This is everything you learned in school. You want to add it to your resume. Perform EKG. Let's specify 12 lead EKG. What else did you learn in school? Perform urinalysis, right? I'm having urinalysis. What else did we do? Phlebotomy. Oh, I don't know how to spell phlebotomy anymore. Phlebotomy. Okay. Did I spell administer wrong? I sure did. And for those of you that don't know, these red lines, this is called Grammarly. This is an extension that I use. I do recommend it. If you use Google Chrome, it's a free extension. You can just Google free Grammarly extension, and it sits up on your toolbar. And as you can see, it's correcting grammatical areas. It's correcting my grammar as I type. So I recommend this, especially for those of you that's writing letters, cover letters and resumes and things like that. Go ahead, and it's free, like I said. So it's called free Grammarly extension. Go ahead and add that to your toolbar, because you see it's pointing out all of the mistakes. So I'm not going to add all the skills here, but you get the gist of it, right? So everything you learn in school, and then also add some of your, your administrative skills that you learn as well. And for my administrative medical assistants, this is for you too. This is for clinical medical assistant and administrator. So of course you won't have any of these clinical skills. So it's schedule appointments. What else do you learn? You learn how to. Oh, did I forget the T in appointments? Look at this. I just cannot spell today. I think this is just from me literally doing all of this earlier. All right, so schedule appointments. What else? Let me see. Answer multi-phone line. You learn how to do that. So any type of skills related to the medical field that you learned in school, or that you also, because once you get out into the office, into the field, you'll start learning new things. Add it. That's why I say this is a standing document. This is why it's good to have on your Google Drive. And notice here, it's saving as we type. So it's always available to you. And you don't have to worry about going in and saving it and losing it if your computer shuts down, because it's all here. So answer multi-phone line. So you all get the gist of that, right? So you add all your skills here, right? And then let's come down to, instead of awards, we're going to change awards to certifications. Certifications. Okay. So certifications are the certifications that you have, right? So related to medical, right? So while you were in school, your school probably offered your BLS, your basic life support. That's your CPR class. So let's say BLS, basic life support, and then you want to also put who you got it through. So let's just say AHA. If it was American Red Cross, and you would put American Red Cross. So BLS, you got that through the American Heart Association. And then what else? Let's say you took your certification exam already, and you're now a CCMA. So you're going to do CCMA. And who did you get that through? You got that through NHA, right? Or if you got your CMA certification, you got that through AAMA, American, American Association of Medical Assistants, right? Or CMAA. Let me just add that there too. CMAA, right? That's also through NHA. Okay. So these are your certifications. Now, If you have certifications not related to medical, let's just say, for an example, I had one of my male students. He was also certified in HVAC. That's like heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, I believe. And he was also certified as an electrician. Stuff like that. These medical assistant employers, these offices, medical offices, they're not going to care about any of that. You don't need to do that. Same thing under the skills. If you have skills related to, certifications that have nothing to do with the medical field, not so important. If it's something like, childcare, if because I do have students with who have history as a, who have history in childcare and they have certification, you can keep that on there because that's going to look good if you are applying to a pediatric office. So something like that is good. But anything else not related, you don't need to have that necessarily on this resume. Okay. So certifications, we got that. And then languages. Languages is not so important unless you speak more than one. So as I mentioned, if you're bilingual, you want to add that there. So let's just say you are bilingual, you speak English and Spanish. So you'll put that there. Maybe you actually speak more than two languages. Maybe you speak French or, another language. You want to add those there because this is going to set you apart. Okay. Now, if you're somebody like me, I mean, I know a little Spanish and French, but I'm not fluent. I'm going to just take that off because, I mean, it's optional. You can just go ahead and leave it there. You can put English there or you can just take it off. Some of these fields we're not even going to use. So for me, I would just go ahead and take that off. Like that's not important to have there. All right. So that's your skills and your certifications. And again, I think I already mentioned this, but make sure anytime you learn a new skill, you're going to add it there. So let's just say you're working in an office and they teach you how to do something you weren't normally doing before. Add it, even if you just do it one time. Once you know how to do it, that is a skill. Okay. So you're going to add that to that. All right. Now, let's talk about experience. Let's talk about work experience. Now, when it comes to how you list your work history, your schools and stuff like that, you're always going to list this information with the most recent first, okay? The most recent first. One of the mistakes I see when I get students sending their resume to me is that they will have their first job that they ever had first, and then they work their way up to present. No, your most recent job is always going to go first. So whether you're still there or not, that's going to go first. Okay. So let's use the example of let me just say this. If you are somebody who has never had a job before, that is perfectly fine. Your resume may not have any work experience. You may just have education. I've had plenty of students fresh out of high school who have never had a job, and that is okay. But one thing I noticed that some students forget is that they had a summer job. So you can add your summer job, okay? If you've had volunteer experience, you can add that. When I first started working, my resume consisted of several of my volunteer jobs because as a teenager, every year, the elementary school that I went to, they had a summer camp and I would volunteer there. So I added that volunteer experience. So if you've been a volunteer, add that, okay? And like I mentioned, if you have nothing, that's fine. But if you do summer job, if you live in a city where they do youth employment for the summer, or if you have volunteer experience, go ahead and add that. So let's see. Let's do a situation in which the person has no medical experience, right? So maybe let's just say you are fresh out of medical assistant school. First of all, you want to add your externship. So let's go ahead and add the externship first, okay? So um so let me see. Do I want to add that first? Let's add the externship first. So you are looking for a job. You finish your externship and now you're looking for a job. Your externship, if they're hiring, perfect. You now have a job. But some instances, your externship may not be hiring, right? So let's say, let me just use for an example. Let's just say Jenkins Healthcare. And let's say that's located. So you want to have the location. So everything here is showing you what you need to have because it's self-explanatory. That's why I say this is so much easier when you use a template because you see everything you need to have. I've had people give me a resume and still did not put this in. Follow what is telling you to put in. So the location, You don't have to have the physical address, but just let's say you were in Laurel, Maryland. I'm just using that as an example. It's not too far from me. So let's just say Laurel, Maryland, right? Your job title. So what was your job title? You were a medical assistant. And if you were just an extern, you can put medical assistant extern, right? And then you were medical. The externship is only a month, right? So let's just say from January 2022. Now, present, you will put if you're still working there. So if you all are doing a resume and you're still working in a place, you will put that one first because that's present. That's the very first employer you want to put if you're still there. But in this case, you did your externship and you no longer work there. You don't have a job at all right now. You're looking. So from January 2022 to February 2022, you did your externship. Now, what did you do on your externship? Everything they had you doing. So let's just say you were obtaining vital signs. So obtained vital signs. Now and again, one way you can do it, you can do bullet points and list them below each other like that. But in this case, we're going to just use semicolon. So obtain vital signs, collected blood and urine specimens, right? What else did they have you doing? They probably had you schedule an appointment. So scheduled appointments. Now notice that I am writing in past tense because I'm no longer here. If you are writing about a job that you used to work in, please make sure it's past tense. I get resumes where people are writing schedule in or obtain in or collecting like they're still there and you're not there. So make sure your past jobs are written in past tense, okay? So obtain vital signs, collected blood and urine specimens, scheduled appointments. What else did they probably have you doing? They probably had you stocking exam rooms. So stocked exam rooms and maintain supplies. Like when they say maintain supplies, you probably were in charge of, maintaining the supplies, ordering. Well, they may not have had you ordering supplies in your externship, but maybe just maintaining the supplies, checking them and logging them and things like that, making sure the inventory was up. So that's an example of how you'll list your duties. Okay, so this is what they had you doing. Now, let's say I'm going to use another job type. I'm going to use Target as an example because I recently had a student who also worked at Target while she was in school. So let's say Target. So just to be consistent, I'll go ahead and still use Laurel, Maryland as an example. Now, what was her job title? Let's say she was a store or sales associate. So let's say store associate and maybe cashier, right? So she was there. Now, if she still works there, she would have put this one first because it's the most recent. So if this was a situation where it's still present, then of course we would have listed this one first. But let's just say she worked there maybe about a year ago. So let's say May 2019 to let's say, and I'm just of course just making something up, August 2021 is the amount of time that she worked there, right? And then after that, she was just in school and stuff, so she wasn't working at all. She was just in school. So, okay, so what did she do while she was there? Maybe assisted customers with finding items, with finding merchandise or items. I don't know how you are. I've never worked at Target. I've worked in a store before, but I don't know. Let's just say merchandise. Assisted, we can say assisted customers with orders. What else do you do? You process cash and credit transactions, right? You unless of course we want to do processed because that's past tense. You're no longer there. You probably ordered supplies. Okay, so whatever you did there, right? Maintain inventory because I know as a store of employee, you do have moments. I don't know how often you have to do inventory, but you also maintain inventory where you have to get account for everything in the store. Okay, so that's one example. All right. Now let's say your job before that, you didn't have a job, you were a volunteer, maybe I'll use a school as an example because that's where I volunteered at. So let's just say I'll use Jenkins again. Jenkins Elementary School. I almost forgot how to spell elementary school. So again, let's just use Laurel, Maryland. Laurel, Maryland. Again, so in this case, you were a volunteer teacher's aide. So let's say volunteer, or you can, so it's a couple different ways you can do this. You can just put, you can do volunteer there, or you can say teacher's aide. And then maybe in the description, you can put, volunteer teacher's aide. And then you assisted, maybe you assisted the children to the bathroom, a children to the bathroom. Maybe you assisted children with reading and writing skills. Maybe you assisted with lesson planning, so whatever you did, even though it was volunteer, you still did it. Okay. So you can just add it there, like I said, or you could have wrote it, volunteer teacher's aide here. So let's do that here. Volunteer teacher's aide, right? So just a couple different ways you can do that. All right. So I'm hoping that this is helpful so far. And let's just say you did that and it was in the summertime, elementary, or maybe it was Jenkins summer camp or something like that. So let's just say you did that in the summer, June 2018. June 20, what was I? Okay, June 2018 to maybe August, right? Because that was for the summer. So let's say August 2018. Okay, so pretty easy. The biggest thing I want you to take away from this is just remember the most recent goes first. So if you, wherever you are, so let's just say you are working somewhere and you're still there, then in that case you will put to present because you're still there. Okay. So medical assistant, let's take the extern off there because maybe you do work there right now. Okay. And so as you get these new positions, you're going to keep adding them. So let's just say you leave here in December 2022, then you get a new job, then you're going to just bring that down, then you're going to add another employment. You understand what I mean? So let's just say you end up working at, let's use Kaiser, right? Kaiser Healthcare. So same thing. You're going to add that there, and then you're going to list your duties, your position, and things like that. Okay. So once, like I mentioned, once you have this template, I'm telling you, it's going to be so much easier. Okay. Biggest thing to remember, most recent is first, and then also make sure your past tense for jobs you're no longer at. And for this one, because you're still here, and let me just say this, because again, it's going to depend on who you talk to. So some people they may tell you to still keep past tense even in a present job. So don't be surprised if somebody does tell you to still do past tense, right? Or, if you're still there, obtaining vital signs, collecting. So you may do collecting and, scheduling, because this is what you're currently doing. Scheduling, um, let's see, stocking exam rooms and maintaining supplies. So just notice the difference between, your present job versus your past. Obtaining, or you may not even write obtaining, you may just write obtain vital sign. This is what you do, but let's do the ing for this one. All right. So this is what you do. So this is a present job. Okay. So I'm hoping that this is helping you all. I'm really hoping, many of you all have reached out to me, emailed me, and sent me, messages and comments down below that this is helping. That is what I love to do. I love to teach. I love to be able to help. So just make sure you let me know if this is helping you. All right. So now education. So just like with the employment, we listed most recent first. We're going to do the same thing with education. Okay. So let's see. Education. Of course, your most recent school is going to be the school that you just finished. So we'll just say medical assisting college. Medical assisting college, and we'll just use Laurel, Maryland again. And this time you obtain your medical assistant certificate, right? So not a degree, but your medical assistant certificate. I mean, if you did get a medical assistant degree, because there are some schools who offer associate's degrees in medical assistance. So if you did that, that's fine. So medical assistant certificate, that's what you obtain there. So that's what you put for the for this section here. And then the month. So most medical assistant schools, they range anywhere from about 8 or 9 months to a year. So let's say in this case you went from January, let's say 2019 to, let's say we could even do a year, January 2020, or we could just say, maybe it was 9 months. So we'll say what? You have to include when you finish externship. So let's just say your class ended in September, but externship ended in October. You want to put when you actually ended the program, because if you didn't complete externship, you didn't finish the program. So I just say October 2019, right? And you don't have to write much there under education. You really don't have to write much. One thing you can include that we used to have our students include when we had them doing resumes as an example, if they had a very good GPA, let's say you have a GPA of like 3.5 and above, we did have students add that because, as I mentioned on my cover letter video, when you're fresh out of school and you don't have any medical experience, you have to really do a good job of highlighting your accomplishments in school. So if that's all you have is that you did very well in school, that's what you need to highlight. Okay. So, and even if you had like a 3.2 or 3.3, I don't want anybody to see this and say, oh, I didn't have a 3.5. That's fine. As long as it's, and I would say at least a 3.0, especially if you have like a 3.5, you definitely want to, add that there. So you can put that here. Maybe even there somewhere, and depending on the template you use, you can find a place to put it where it just looks presentable and not just random. I don't really like the way this looks just sitting there, but hey, it might work. Okay. Now for your next school, that's where you'll put like, whatever school you went to before your medical assistant school. Now, if you went to a school and you didn't finish, don't bother. Okay. Do not bother. I've had students who added like a community college they went to and then they never finished. So don't put any school that you didn't finish. If you went to a school and you got a degree or certification, then you can add that. So you can put your high school. Honestly, your high school is not necessary. If you are maybe fresh out of school, fresh out of high school, right? And you were a 4.0 student, you were on honor roll, you can add that if you want to go ahead and add that GPA there, so you can put your high school there. So for an example, let's just say since we're using Laurel, Maryland, let's say you went to Laurel High School in Laurel, Maryland, you would write that and then, so let me just put that in there. So let's just say Laurel High School, I put height, Laurel High School in Laurel, Maryland. Laurel, Maryland, and then you can put diploma because that's what you received. You didn't receive a degree, diploma, and then your year. So maybe you went from 2000 what 14 to, well, wait a minute, 2015 to 2019, and then you may want to put your GPA here if you had like a 4.0 or at least a 3.5. So same thing, or you may not put your high school at all, and you may just have education listed there, right? And then last section we see here is projects. Now, for this medical assistant resume, we want to take projects off. This is for probably for a position in which, some type of profession in which they do projects and, that needs to be listed. But for medical assistant, we're not going to add that there. What we have here is basically what is not basically, but this is everything we need. So you have your skills, your certifications. That's what they're going to look at. Your experience, they're going to look at that. Your education. This is literally all you need to have on your resume. And one thing I want to tell you too, please don't lie on your resume, okay? Do not lie. You don't want to put anything on your resume that you really don't know how to do, okay? Because they're going to expect you to do it. So I'll just use this for an example. So we gave students a sample resume when they had an assignment to do, and on that sample it included things like keyboarding 40 words per minute, typing 40 words per minute, and things like that. Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word. And I always told them, if you don't really know how to type 40 words a minute, don't put that on your resume. If you don't really know how to use Microsoft Excel, don't do that, because what happens if they need you to create a spreadsheet and then you put that on there and you really don't know how to create a spreadsheet on Microsoft Excel? So only put what you know how to do, okay? One thing you can also do, if you are somebody who have a hard time explaining what you do, because I understand some people, they know what they did, but they have a hard time putting it into words. One thing you can do, as always, as I mentioned before, look up example resumes online, but also, the position you're applying for. Let's say you go to that website and they have the duties of the medical assistant, that what they're looking for. You can add that as your, as your skills, but only things you know how to do. Again, only things you know how to do, because when they see this resume, they're going to expect this person that they see on their resume, they're going to expect that person to come through the door. They're going to ask you questions about your resume. You need to be able to answer those questions. So never, ever, never, ever lie on your resume. Okay. Um, One thing too, I want to note, you don't have to put references available upon request. I know a lot of us was taught that, but you really don't have to put that on there. I know growing up and when I was in school, we were taught that, but you don't have to put that on there. Somebody did ask me about that. You don't have to put that. Another common question I've gotten is, does a resume only have to be one page? Now, if you have a situation where you don't have much experience, like for an example, this resume right here, the way this template is, we were able to put it on one page, which is perfect. But for some people, they really have a whole lot of experience and it won't fit on one page, and it's okay. So I don't want anybody to think that they, have to um they absolutely have to reduce their resumes to one page if it does not make sense. Now, if you have a situation where you've gotten everything on one page and you notice the second page has like a couple of lines on it, absolutely, you need to figure out how to reduce that. It may be a situation where you have to, let's just say like we had these listed one up under each other and it was causing this resume to be 2 pages. That was the only thing. Then in that case, of course, we would do, bring it up, and then we would do, semicolon. So in some situations, you may have to do that. But for the most part, if you have a lot of experience, like myself, I have my resume is more than one page. It is okay if your experience requires that. Okay. Um, Another example, another questions that I get was, do you need a completely new resume? Now, I will say this: if you work in different fields, then I would say maybe yes, you do need a new resume. Like for an example, one of my students, she's a government worker. She's older. She's had many jobs. Her resume was very long because she's had so many jobs, and I did recommend her to start a new resume because if she decided that she wanted to go back into the government, she could use that resume. And then the resume that she's going to be using to apply for her medical assistant jobs, that's the new one she created, right? But if you're someone who don't have a lot of experience and don't have, that one resume is fine. You're only in that one field, that one resume is fine. Now, I will say this, everybody's situation is different, okay? It is hard for me to say this is absolutely what it must be, because it's going to depend on where you're applying to, your experience, and all of that. So what I'm going to do for anybody that wants to do this, you can comment down below or email me. If you are somebody who does not mind coming on live with me one day, we'll go live on my YouTube channel, on this channel, and you'll share your resume with me and I will help you edit it. I will help see what you need to change, what I think about it, if you are willing to be transparent, like that on your resume. So if that's you, I'm going to pick somebody, so you can comment down below or you can email me and we can go through that. We'll go through your resume together. Okay. Um, if you have any questions about this, if I get enough questions, I can do another video and do a Q&A. I don't mind doing that. If you have any more questions, in addition to what you all have already sent me, I don't mind doing another video for that. Just let me know. And one thing too, I want to show you all. So your Google Drive. Don't do that, okay? The way you want to send this to an employer, or whoever, or even send it to yourself, you want to go to File, and then you're going to download as a Microsoft Word attachment. So even if you don't have Microsoft Word on your computer, so for those of you who have Apple or whoever, and you don't have Microsoft Word for whatever reason on your computer, just go to File, download as, and then Microsoft Word. And so that way you can send it to whoever you need to send it to. Okay. So again, don't hit share, File, download as, Microsoft Word attachment. Okay. And that's with anything you do on your Google Drive and you need to send it to somebody. You want to always go to File and download as. Okay. And before I end this, let me just look at my let's see, let me look at my notes. I just want to make sure I don't leave anything off, because I want to make sure I give you everything you need. Okay. We talked about that. We talked about not using I on the resume. So we talked about that in the objective, and make sure you know that for the duties as well. So we're not going to write I obtain vital signs. We just list what we did. All right. Let me see. I added that. Talk about this. Okay. So I just want to make sure I got everything covered on here, because once I end this video, it's not going to let me restart it to add to it. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know down below. Also, like it if this was helpful to you. It helps the video to get out to more people. Also, subscribe if you haven't already and you like to see more content from me. If you have any video suggestions or any questions, as always, feel free to email me. My email is down below. Also, feel free to, comment down below. Okay. Somebody may have the same question as you. So, comment down below may be the best option if it's not a personal question. Okay. All righty. Thank you for visiting my channel. Once again, be blessed.